Transfer portal once again gets us been bitten by the bug. Not only that, SEC and Big Ten are having private meetings and deciding the fate of college football. We're going to talk about all that and more. Stay right here. Howdy, howdy. What's up, everybody? I'm Joey Foster. That over there, that's a Shane. Hey, Shane, what's going on, brother?
Not much. Just, trying to find the latest and greatest news about the SEC and the Big Ten. That's just, it's like a train wreck. Can't look away.
Does everybody remember back, what was it, a year ago or a year and a half ago? The ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 joined forces. They created an agreement because the SEC was making some power moves, right? So they all came together, left the Big 12 out of that, right? Remember? Now, here it is, a year and a half later, SEC, Big Ten, making huge power moves today, announcing that they're forming an advisory committee to discuss the future of college football and where it needs to go and what they want it to do. Well, I'm trying to figure out, well, who the hell died and left them in charge? But,
yeah,
hey, apparently the NCAA died and left them in charge.
Well, once again, if you don't pick a chief's going to appoint themselves. And I've been screaming for weeks they need a commissioner. So the Big Ten and SEC have united to form the Joint Advisory Group. So the goal of this is to address any significant challenges that amateur athletes are facing, and what they're facing. We have seen with Raquan Battle, in the midst of the rapidly changing landscape, they're not giving clear and concise and fair rulings, and there's no real parameters. It's kind of like, well, this guy was gonna we're gonna approve your waiver. Yeah, your waiver, yeah, you're ineligible. So the governance issues and are causing the pressure to build, and now it's at the breaking point, and they're a dog without teeth. So the concerns have not been, other conferences are concerned because they're going to be left out of that table making the discussions. And if the NCAA falls apart and that advisory group determines that they're going to have a playoff without the Big 12 and SEC,
ACC, yeah.
The ACC and the Big 12, so it's just the SEC and the Big 10. That's going to be troublesome. I was hoping, but it's not science.
I'm looking at a light at the end of the tunnel, and here's why. Because from what I read today, the article just said that the SEC and Big Ten getting with university presidents and creating an advisory committee. It did not say they were in the SEC or Big Ten, just that they were getting with university presidents. So maybe some university presidents from Big 12, ACC are involved, and the headlines just made it look like SEC was doing something, and maybe they're not.
Yeah, we don't know, and it's an advisory group. They might have put their heads together and said, "Hey, let's reach out," and maybe they're going to reach out to, the president of Oregon State and Corvallis, or they're going to reach out to, president of University of Tulsa, and maybe other places other than, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, but you never know what they're doing. I mean,
no.
Like I say, because here's the thing about it. We all know the media will spin it. they will spin it plumb out of control to make it look like the SEC and Big Ten are taking over because that's what the media wants. What ESPN wants, ABC wants, probably what Fox wants, and all these other channels. But maybe the SEC and Big Ten, maybe calmer heads are rebelling, and they got university presidents from all over the country. I don't know. Same thing, and I want to talk about this for just a second. Transfer portal strikes again. Morgantown, West Virginia. DJ Oliver has entered the portal. Now, another thing too, there was two players today, and I apologize, I can't remember the other player's name. But here's the thing about it: they also they worded that pretty funny because they said DJ Oliver and this other player are no longer with the program. And then, like an hour later, it came out and said they've entered a transfer portal. Now, to me, that tells me when a player comes out, or a school comes out and announces before the player does that the player is no longer with the program, that tells me there was probably some kind of disciplinary action, or maybe something about they weren't fitting in and they got rid of it.
I think you're right. And here's my take, and this is what I've got from my research. So he despite the transfer portal being closed, okay, he left after winter workouts completed. Okay, he did play in 4 games in 2023, but they kept him out of any action to keep his eligibility intact. And he is a big-bodied back, much like CJ, right?
Right.
So with CJ coming back, it might be a combination of both. Of like, hey, I see the writing on the wall. Kid's frustrated. It exacerbates any type of, maybe there's not a behavioral problem. Maybe it's just he's frustrated. Okay, I have boys, I have sons, and I just understand with that testosterone running through them, it's very easy for them just to be frustrated, to get, because once again, we're dealing with young men. We're not dealing with men. And even though some of these cats are playing into their late 20s with COVID and extra years and all that, but he's still a young guy. So Charlie, and I screw up his name. Oh goodness, I have it written down here. Kataridnik. Hope I got it right. He left the program, so he came to Morgantown in 2022. Redshirted his first year. He just played a handful of snaps and special teams. Will they impact the team's dynamics? I don't know. With CJ getting as many reps because he's a big-bodied back. I think we have the Thunder and the Lightning right now with the 2 backs that we do have. So I don't know.
Yeah, but having that third back is great because anybody could get hurt at any given moment.
Yeah.
Jaheim White could twist an ankle. C.J. Donaldson could twist it. Hell, they could both twist an ankle in a game. You just don't know.
Well, I mean,
so that depth.
Yeah, the Neil ran C.J. like he worked him like a Reddit mule, and he did get hurt, bunged up towards the middle of the season. It was very, it was evident, in his performance. It just takes a toll. I know he put a little bit of meat and gristle on those bones, but still he's getting banged hard, and he hits hard. So I would have to say the other thing, and this is the last thing I would think, West Virginia is trying to get down to the fighting weight. They're trying to get to a trim 85 scholarships, right?
Right.
So with that, gives them maybe, I don't know where they're at as far as numbers. I don't know if they have 82, if they have 85. I don't know that, guys. Can't find it. Don't have a list. Don't have the roster to match it up.
I think the last I heard was 2 weeks ago we were at 89. So that meant we had to get rid of 4.
That sounds about right. I was thinking 87. So, I was thinking these two put them right at 85. But you got to remember, Joey, there's another transfer portal opening up. So I'm going to look up right now when the spring blue and gold
That's right.
game is.
Yeah, because the portal opens up right after.
The 25th. The 25th it opens up for 5 days.
Yeah.
So we'll see here.
I'm wondering.
Okay. It'll be April 22nd, 2024. So guys, the spring game's going to happen. Kids are going to have hurt feelings. They're kind of going to know where, where they sit. And 3 days later, you're going to see kids,
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, and nothing against the kids. I'm not faulting you at all, so don't get me wrong here. But the unfortunate thing is all of a sudden kids don't know how to compete and stay with the program and work hard and try to get a starting position the following year or even halfway through the year. They don't know how to do that anymore. Now they're like, well, I can't play at West Virginia, but I can play at Tulane. I'm going to Tulane, or
and here's the thing, Joey. And I'm gonna. This is my experience. I was never a great athlete, but I've been successful because I've had perseverance and discipline, and I failed. And you want to fail and not fall too far back. So what I'm getting at is discipline doesn't have to do. Everybody can get up in the morning, tie their shoes, and do certain things. It's having the discipline to continue to do those things after you fail. So these young men that are a number 2 or a number 3, they have to understand they can still contribute as a member of the team. And that lesson in itself is the biggest building block for success, is that being able to fail, understand your role, contribute, and have self-awareness. Now, I agree, and I love the fact that some of these cats have self-confidence. But we've all watched American Idol. We've all watched America's Got Talent and seen cats go on stage that think they're better than they are. Now, these are Division I players. They all can play ball. Don't get me wrong. They wouldn't have came to a Division I school if they couldn't. But not everybody's number 1. And it's just the way it is. And discipline. Mike Tyson, I remember Mike Tyson saying, discipline is when, you fail, but you continue to work hard to succeed. And it's easy if you're always winning and you're always that guy. But when you have a challenge and you overcome it and you work through that obstacle and you still kind of get to the same place, I think that is what these young men are losing out on. But that's my rant.
I thought about it. I thought about it yesterday. If we go back and look in time of West Virginia football, what players would have probably left the program if it was today and they were with the program today? How many players would have left this program at that time and not ever made a name for themselves at West Virginia? Not only that, but in the NFL or wherever they went. And I got to thinking, hey, guess what? Adam Pac-Man Jones, he did not start. He did not start his freshman year. He did not start his sophomore year. He came in like about halfway through his sophomore year.
Yep.
If a transfer portal was up today and he thought he was good and he knew he thought he was better than somebody else, he would have left, right?
Pat White, Mike Logan.
Pat
Those
White.
are cats I'd like to ask,
Jake the Snake Kelchner. They're in Studstill. These guys were not big-time recruits.
They contributed.
But they contributed. They made our program.
Pat McAfee,
Exactly. You can go back to Mike Vanderjack, who's the greatest kicker ever in the history of the NFL, who's the only kicker to ever kick 100% in a season. Mike Vanderjack at West Virginia, hey, guess what? He would have probably transferred in the transfer portal because he didn't get to play his first couple of years.
Right, guys.
That's what I hate about this. Players are leaving without giving it a chance. They got to give it a chance. And the thing about it, when you leave and go somewhere else, now you're learning a whole new system. You're learning. You are listening to the wrong people, players.
And you're
listening to the wrong people.
At the bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
The papers are shuffled above, and you got to work your way up that.
All of a sudden, you are competing for that position against another player, but not only against another player, now you're competing for another coach. Now you're having to show another coach what you can do.
Yeah.
When Neil Brown and this staff already knew what you could do, and we're trying to work you in to the program somewhere to make you fit, and you go and leave, it just makes no sense to me. There are players in the transfer portal that have been in there for 2 or 3 years that have not gone anywhere.
I want to touch on something tonight real quick, and I'm not a Deion Sanders fanboy, but I bring him up a lot on this damn show. He mentioned something.
After tonight, the next time you bring up Deion Sanders, I'm just going to go ahead and kick you on out.
Okay, that's good. We'll have like a Deion Sanders swear jar. I think this is a legitimate point here, and you can grade it after. He said that his son is missing out on the college experience because he's taking all of his classes online. What are your thoughts on that? I think that's a very powerful statement.
I think it's very valid, and here's
I
here's
think
why.
he's one of many, right?
A lot of classes that I took when I was in college, I did online, and it was just
Mhm.
starting out then. It was just like new and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why they were pushing it really hard. Take these classes online.
Yeah.
But you know what? I missed a lot of college experience because of it. Because I think it's true. If you're sitting there at home in the comfort of your apartment and you're taking online courses, you're not getting the college experience of being out there partying and having fun with your colleagues, your friends, your teammates. It makes a big difference. It makes a difference in the culture of a football program for sure. If you got a football player that's doing online courses and all the rest of the team is going to classes, there's going to be some culture problems. Am I right? There's got to be.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I like about one of the there's not a lot of things that Deion does that just stand out that I think are fantastic, but this is one. He makes all of his players sit in the front row. They can't wear slides. They got to wear shoes and socks. Mm-hmm. And he makes them dress appropriately for the classroom. But yet his kid is taking these classes remotely. So I thought that was great at the time. Now I'm thinking, you're also your dad and his coach. You just stick the right foot up his ass and then the left foot up his ass as his coach.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
In school.
So I'm being critical of them. I'm not being a fanboy. I'm just saying I thought, oh, that's fantastic. And then I find out just a couple of days ago. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Now, that being said, here's the problem.
Brown.
Here's the problem with that, Shane. Mm-hmm. Is that being said, how many players around the college football landscape are doing that, but we don't hear about them because it's not Deion Sanders?
Well, that's just it. I would love to ask Neil Brown how many. Neil Brown's not going to want to come on the show because we're not asking him a lot of football questions. I'm going to ask him a lot of like personnel management style type of things. Like, what does Tim say? I personally think all students need one-on-one. Yes, absolutely. Just one-on-one time is so important. Even if you have a boss, you need one-on-one time. So guys, I would love to ask Neil Brown, how many of your students or student athletes do remote learning? How many are in the classroom? And what are your thoughts when someone comes in and they want to do remote learning? What are your thoughts?
I won't swear to this, but I think I read somewhere that Zach Frazier was doing some remote learning. I don't know that he was doing it all, but I read somewhere he was.
I can understand some because of scheduling. Right. And, they are student athletes with a huge balance of workload and class load and working out.
Well, not only that, but especially if you're West Virginia and you're traveling to Big 12 games. I mean,
I'm traveling end of this month. I have to go to the West Coast. I mean, I couldn't find to go to Portland, Oregon from Pittsburgh. There's always not one of the flights is direct. You gotta connect in either Chicago, Seattle or Dallas, and it's like the 8.5 hours is the quickest time to get from point A to point B. Some of them are 20 hours. And I'm not going to sit and wait. Imagine we don't have a private jet that can haul those big bootied boys the whole way to,
Right.
play in TCU or go out to Oklahoma and play. They're flying. They're getting on a bus. It's tiring. There's an entire day for travel. Okay. And I'm sure there's one day for them to kind of get their bearings, because guys, that's exhausting. And it's hard on the body. It's hard on your sleep pattern. I mean, sleep is so important. I mean, they have these kids hooked up to those. They look like laser tag bras. Those laser tag things from like 1986.
Yeah.
And it checks their, how they sleep, how they're resting, their pulse rate. It just boom, shoots it right to an app. Some scientist in the lab coat is sitting there with his mustache twirling.
Well, that brings up a question, though, Shane. Let me ask you this: how long before, if let's just say the SEC and Big Ten decide, okay, we're the two power conferences, screw everybody else, we're going to have a national championship between our two conferences, and nobody else can be involved. And let's say they do something like that. How long will it be before West Virginia can't do that technology of checking these students?
We'll look like Louisiana, like that dude, West Louisiana State Tech, the one that Bobby Boucher played for. We're gonna have like that's what the Mountaineers facilities are gonna look like if they decide to.
And that's where it's bad. It's like you got all this stuff there's always a downfall to everything, right? It's like listen, when the transfer portal opened, when Austin won his lawsuit, former running back West Virginia, and he won the lawsuit for NIL, and that got the ball rolling on NIL, right? Next thing, and then all of a sudden there was a lawsuit of a transfer portal, and boom, that got going. Now there was another lawsuit of a transfer portal involving another West Virginia player. Mm-hmm. Boom, NCAA lost, and it keeps everything rolling. But with that rolling means that Texas and Oklahoma said, hey, wait a minute, we're going to get left in the dark because the SEC and Big Ten are taking over college football here. We got to move. And we got to move now. And they did it. They did it kind of sneaky. And you know what? I think that solidified everything. I was talking to Frank tonight. He thinks it's the same way, Frank Fear, that the Oklahoma-Texas move kind of solidified college football and where it was going to go. Even before USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington went to the Big Ten, they could have stayed in the Pac-12 and been left behind. They got lucky. The Big Ten took them.
I'm afraid the Mountaineers have paid for their Red Solo Cup, paid their $10 to get into the party, and the keg is kicked.
Yeah.
So thanks for nothing. And I hope that's not the case.
So if you're out there in the chat, we thank you very much. Let me type this real quick.
Yeah, let's be Debbie Downers on Friday night, right?
I have dropped a link. I would love for anybody. Traveling Fools, you're out there. Traveling Fools says, yo. Hey, TF, come on in here. You're a Miami fan? That's okay. Let's talk some Miami football.
Yeah, Miami's
Tell us what you think, because
program.
Miami could be left in the dark here with SEC and Big Ten having their talks. Florida State and Clemson so far is all we've heard.
Here's my one thing that makes me think that we might be okay. Okay, you hear me out. Let's talk about the teams at that are at the big table, and then the kids table. There are some meat eaters at the kids table. Okay, those meat eaters are Clemson, Florida State, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, TCU, Virginia Tech. I mean, North Carolina. Those are teams, and I say meat eaters. They have fans, and where there's fans, there's money, and there's eyeballs on TVs. That is revenue that the greedy adults at the big table, they're eventually just gonna, make room at the table for these other folks, because there's still, there's still some meat on the bone, guys. There's lots of money to be made by your Florida States, your Clemsons, your West Virginias, your Oklahoma States, your TCUs, your Baylors. I mean, Utah even. You're missing out on some money out there. North Carolina,
Well, see, here's what I can't figure out. So, okay, the SEC and Big Ten, let's say they branch off and start their own conference. Who are they going to play? Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and Oklahoma? Because the rest of them aren't very good. The rest of them are no better than the Big 12.
Yeah.
Honestly, the rest of them are no better than the Big 12. I don't care if you are Washington and Oregon. Guess what? You're no better than the Big 12. You're not Georgia or Alabama. You're not Ohio State or Michigan. If you're Washington or you're Oregon or you're USC, you're going to be relegated to nothing in the SEC and Big Ten unless you can win some games. And the way it looks right now is you're not winning any games. So I don't understand that, because look, the West Virginia has the largest fan base in the Big 12, even the new Big 12, even with BYU. West Virginia's got the largest fan base. West Virginia's got the largest viewing audience. How could you leave us out, but yet keep Vanderbilt? How could you leave us out, but yet keep Illinois or Indiana or Northwestern? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, there's a $45 million budget shortfall that West Virginia currently has as a university. If there is not, we have an oxygen tank and there's not a lot of oxygen in there. So if, we have to float for a little bit, it's not going to be very long. We have to have that lifeline of being tied to those bigger schools for revenue. Now, NFL has 32 teams, right? I'm off the top of my head, I'm gonna look it up here. I think there's 18 and 18, but I think the SEC has 18. I'm looking it up right now. And the I think the Big 12 has 18. So right there, that's 36.
16. Big 12 has 16.
Oh, 16. And then one has 18.
So I think the Big 10 has 18 now.
Okay. So right there, you're looking at 34. So it's just about the same size as the NFL. Now, the NFL does not have the parity that college football has, that makes, in my opinion, college football a better product and more entertaining. So even if they had, let's just say 50 teams, okay, at 50 teams, I think that's the sweet spot, personally, because you'll have all the demographics, all the little niche nooks and crannies of the United States filled with fan bases. But college football is looking more like professional sports because of paying the players. Absolutely, Tim Green. How soon will it be before they don't even have to attend a class to be part of the university? Well, Tim, that's already happening.
Yeah.
Purdue was one of the first online programs where you could get, a bachelor's of arts.
And it's like we were talking about Deion Sanders' son taking classes remotely.
Right.
So,
Villanova, Drexel, Penn State. All these schools now, West Virginia, they all offer online. You can get 99% of this coursework online, guys, unless you're going to be a teacher or a nurse where you have to do some sort of practical application of, a student teaching or a residency or, but it is what it is.
KC says old. What's old? What's old, KC? He says, let's roll. What's old? I'm just wondering what's old. We're talking about the Big Ten and the SEC making their pact that they're going to get with university presidents and come up with a solution to all this mess in college football. Now, like I had said earlier, we don't know because the article and the media is going to make the SEC and Big Ten look like
Yeah.
the King Creoles. They are just going to do it.
Yeah.
And the article actually says getting with university presidents. It did not say getting with university Big Ten or SEC
Right.
presidents. It did say
And-
university
yeah.
presidents. So maybe
when
they're
what they're-
getting with all around the country.
I think what they're doing is I think on the agenda they'll have NIL issues, recommendations, suggestions. They're going to have, key problems to identify and solve, that being, regulating, whether it be the amount of money or how that money is disseminated or all the above. They're going to also talk about, trying to put some color, making it more black and white instead of gray for the, why some young men and women get waivers and others don't. So I think those are the big questions they're going to talk about. And what they're doing, I believe, is trying to force the NCAA into action, and the action being working on those, resolving those issues.
Honestly, I think they're trying to force the NCAA out because I think this all stems down to them saying Florida State cheated in NIL, Tennessee cheated in NIL. How can you prove anybody cheated in NIL? There's no friggin' rules.
Right. It's just it's a big gray blob, and how do you decipher what's black and white from gray?
Right. So I think that's what they're trying to do. I think that's what they're trying to do with the committee is just say, we got to get a handle on this. We can't just let the NCAA come in here and tell Tennessee and Florida State, hey, you're going to lose all these games. And you know what? They're probably right because the NCAA has been silent since 2021 on this deal. And now all of a sudden they want to hit everybody with violations. That makes no sense. If you're going to make a voice and you want to have a say in something, then as soon as that law is passed, the NCAA should have came out and said, we agree with the law 100%. We're all for it. We are setting bylaws. We will release them next month. And they should have released them the next month, not 3-4 years later to say, well, now what you did back in 2022 was a violation. It's a violation now, so it's a violation then. So you're going to get, that's bull crap. I don't understand none of that. So I think that what the SEC and Big Ten are doing, I agree with. I just wish that if they do or not, and I'm not sure they are, but if they are not including Big 12 presidents, ACC presidents, even Pac-12 presidents in Oregon State and Washington State, they should include those guys, and let's come to a collective bargaining agreement as a big collective of college football schools, and make a decision on where we go in the transfer portal, where we go with NIL, and where we go as a college football fan base. Because as a fan base, we're divided. There are so many people that if I type on Twitter right now, I think NIL should be done away with, I would have 10,000 people text me back on Twitter and tell me how stupid and crazy I was and why it shouldn't be. And if I type on there how good NIL is, I'll have 10,000 people typing back telling me how wrong I am. So there's no winning in this NIL thing. All the thing we got to realize is we can't regulate NIL, period. We can't tell people how much money they can make, period. Michael Jordan, I said it the other night, Michael Jordan did not make a lot of money in the NBA, but he's a billionaire because of his NIL, because of Hanes underwear, because of Nike, all that stuff. Michael Jordan is a billionaire today because of it. And nothing the NBA could do about it. NBA could set their caps, their salary caps. Hey, they were within salary caps, but that didn't have anything to do with NIL. Same thing in college football. Has nothing to do with NIL and these guys signing contracts. But here's the thing. These guys aren't signing contracts. They need to sign contracts that tie them to a university, and they can't because that's pay for play. And I do not like that pay for play rule. Get rid of that pay for play rule. And then when Tom, Dick, and Harry up the street want to sponsor this 4-star quarterback to come to West Virginia, they can give him a $250,000 to come to West Virginia, have him sign a contract that ties him to the university for 4 years to say, we're only paying you this money if you play for those 4 years. That will fix this problem. I can't help but think that it's just that simple. It's just that easy. Get rid of the pay for play rule. It's not going to solve everything, but it will solve a lot.
Yeah,
Sorry, I got on a rant.
no,
there.
I agree. I agree with you. That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
It's because you can have a kid right now show up and there's nothing really keeping him there. Yeah, wet blanket's right, and then he can bounce in a year. And the other thing on the kids side, you got to protect them. You can't promise them the stars and the moon and not deliver.
Right.
Because the fine print has it. You have to reach. You have to make it so. And I don't know if these kids have legal representation when they sign these contracts. I hope they do. I don't know how that works. I'd love to find out. If anybody's out there that knows that, please let us know. Make us smart. But there's just so much. It's not even Swiss cheese. It looks like a freaking doily.
So let me give you an idea of how NIL is working right now. The Ohio State quarterback gets a brand new Mercedes-Benz every 90 days. How's that for it? Okay, he gets a brand new Mercedes-Benz every 90 days. Problem is, it's leased. It's not his, it's leased, right? So if he leaves, he loses the lease, and that's how they're doing things. Everything's leased. That's not protecting these kids. These kids are getting to live a lifestyle in college. They're not going to live in the real world if they do not make the NFL and at least make a team in the NFL, a starting role. I'm sorry, make a starting role in the NFL. They're not going to be able to continue this lifestyle that they're living in college. So this quarterback for Ohio State, getting a new Mercedes every 90 days, that's great for now. What's that teaching him 10 years from now when he's sitting there at home wondering what's he going to do for a ride? All right. So if he could sign a contract, though, that tied him to the university, guess what? They'd probably give him a brand new Mercedes-Benz. That would be his. They'd probably give him a salary. That would be his. And then he could just focus on his studies at Ohio State, focus on the team at Ohio State, stay at Ohio State, build and learn with the program. Same way at West Virginia. Look, DJ Oliver hit the transfer portal, but if he stayed at West Virginia, he might have learned a little bit more. And who knows where he could be? Like we mentioned earlier, Pac-Man Jones. If the transfer portal had been around when Pac-Man Jones came to West Virginia, where would he be today? Because he didn't start his freshman year. I don't know that he started his sophomore years. I don't think he did. He started, and Aaron Beasley, another one. How about Daryl Talley? How about Brian Josviak? All right. These guys, how about Major Harris? These guys didn't start. These guys came into the program and built and learned and grew. I don't think, as far as I can remember, Oliver Luck wasn't even a quarterback, wasn't even a starting quarterback until his senior year. May have been his junior year. But, you think about that. These players would have left. And in today's times, they would have left and went somewhere else so they could play football. Where would they be today? Where would Oliver Luck be today? Where would Jeff Hostetler be today if the transfer portal would have been the same as it is today back then? Where would Jeff Hostetler be today? A Super Bowl winning quarterback, right? Where would Mark Bulger be today? Where would Geno Smith be today? Geno Smith didn't start his freshman year. He didn't start his sophomore year. Well, he started halfway through it, but But where would these people be today? Where would Tavon Austin be today? Tavon Austin made $50 million in the NFL. He's
Mhm.
retired now, but he made $50 million in the NFL. If he'd have come to West Virginia and sat out his freshman year like he did, sat halfway through his junior year like he did, in today's times, he would have transferred. He would have said, I'm going somewhere I can play. Where would he be today if he went somewhere else? I'm sorry, I'm on a rant tonight.
I gotcha.
I get so
tell you,
sick of this
it's
transfer
good.
portal. I get so sick of this transfer portal. So it just aggravates me. And listen, I've had Eugene Napoleon, I've had Adrian Morrell, we've had Avon Coburn, all of them on the show, and all of them telling me how great this transfer pool is and how great NIL is. And I agree. It is great that these players are making some money now, and then the universities and the NCAA aren't making billions and billions of dollars on these players. I agree. But there's nothing keeping them at the university. There's nothing tying them to the university. We have to do that. For the sake of college football, we have to do that because who the hell knows who's going to play at Georgia next year? Who the hell knows who's going to play at Alabama or Florida State or West Virginia? Because the transfer portal takes so many players away that we can't keep up anymore. I can't. I'm an old man, but I can't keep up with it.
No, it's hard to keep up, and that's one of the difficulties. I mean, if you do like an NFL podcast, you can have an idea based on the contract who's going to be there,
Right.
because that's a contract, and they have
It's a contract,
salary
right.
cap money and et cetera, and you can kind of piece
You know
the
who your
puzzle
free
together.
agents are. You know who your free
But
agents
brother,
are, and that's it.
this is a 5,000 piece puzzle with no corner pieces.
Right. It is. Because every player and every college team could enter the transfer portal right now. Any player on any college team. I don't care if they're a starting quarterback or starting running back, starting wide receiver. If Georgia or Alabama gets in touch with them and says, hey, we've got a $1.2 million NIL deal for you down here, somebody's wanting to give you, would you be interested in coming down this way? Hey, there might be rules against tampering. There's nobody enforcing those rules right now. So it's happening. It's happening, period. Look, you can say all you want to. Lincoln Riley tampered when he got that wide receiver from Pitt a couple years ago. I don't remember his name, but when he got that wide receiver from Pitt a couple years ago, Lincoln Riley tampered in the transfer portal. That player wasn't going anywhere. All of a sudden, he just up and leaves and goes to USC immediately. Tampering is going on. If they have contracts tying into that university, there is no tampering. You can't tamper because the player's in a contract. He leaves, he loses everything, and nobody's out anything. So I don't know. I mean, I done got fired up about this again. I apologize. I apologize to all of our viewers and listeners, but I get fired up about it.
No,
It really-
it's legit. It's a legit gripe, and we're just frustrated. I'm not as upbeat because of the situation. I hope we're not left holding our red Solo cup and there's no beer flowing.
Right.
But
yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see, guys. We'll have to see. But it's been fun being on your Friday show. I appreciate inviting me.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than the fan zone. We try to talk facts. We try to be a little bit of analysts and a little bit of
Right.
knowledge, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of facts right now. I don't think anybody
Yeah,
does. Nobody has any facts.
I'm using ESPN as a reference, ChatGPT, and
none
CBS,
of them know facts.
guys. That's
None of
it.
them know
That's what
facts.
I'm using. So this is not this is it's just we have an idea that someone saw Sasquatch, and that's it. We don't know how tall.
Yeah.
Could be a bald Sasquatch. We don't know. Okay.
And he's on video, but it's grainy. It's kind of grainy, and you can't really tell. It's just like, you know.
Yep. A Squatch blob or something we call him, right?
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. More to follow with this, and we will keep you on all of the shows up to date on the news as we find out.
So let's shoot over to a lighter note. So I have been creating videos for the Big 12 channel, preview and prediction videos. I've done Kansas State and TCU. Let me tell you what, Kansas State's got a tough damn schedule, man. I tell you, they do. They gotta visit all the mountains, you know. I think we talked about the other night. They gotta visit all the mountains. They gotta go to Utah to play BYU. They gotta go out there in the mountains of BYU. They have to go to Colorado and play in those mountains. Then they got to come to West Virginia and play in those mountains. And poor guys are going to have nosebleeds. They're not going to know what to do. But Kansas State's got a really tough schedule. So people that say Kansas State's the front runner in the Big 12 this year, I don't see it, because I think Kansas State's got a pretty tough schedule. And when I did TCU's today, their schedule's not a gimme either. So
no.
You know,
that's why
the easiest schedule, easiest schedule so far that I've looked at is Texas Tech. Have you looked at Texas Tech's schedule?
Texas Tech, and I think Utah has a favorable schedule. So I think, guys, that's going to be the key factor for
last two
who's
games.
Be on top.
Last two games for Texas Tech: Oklahoma State and West Virginia. Other than that, it's like, I'm serious. It's like Group of 5 schools and the weakest Big 12 schools: Cincinnati, UCF, Houston. It's Arizona State, Colorado. It's that they have nobody that had a big season last year on their schedule other than Oklahoma State and West Virginia the last couple of games. So Texas Tech.
I hope the Mountaineers get rolling early and don't pull the nonsense they pulled this year with getting everything lined up and playing good ball in game 5 or 6.
Timothy, thank you for watching both those videos. I feel sorry for you.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah,
but I do thank you, Tim. I appreciate.
Yeah, Tim. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Tim.
But
Timothy, Timothy, do me a favor, because I have lost your phone number. I've looked at my phone. I have lost the email you sent me. And in case you've lost mine, it's footballnewshour@gmail.com. Email me, or if you still got my phone number, call me, because I really need to talk to you. So if you'll give me a call, Timothy. But anyway, sorry about that.
No, I'm just hoping the Mountaineers get rolling early, because if they wait, I'm afraid the schedule's going to be it's going to be unwinnable, because the tough games are the first 5. Other than there's one that's not too bad. I'm talking about conference play. I mean, Penn State's no slouch. Pitt's going to be a difficult game, but Kansas to start off with. Then they have a bye week. Then they have Oklahoma State. Guys, that's
here's how I look at this, because I'm like you. I worry, and here's why I worry. Last year, Texas Tech was supposed to be so damn good. They were horrible. Last year, TCU was coming off playing for a national championship and lost some players, but they still returned a lot of players, and they were horrible. So Oklahoma State came off the year before, a very good year, and they started out pretty horrible. And then all of a sudden they found a running back, and Oklahoma State started winning some games thanks to one guy. So,
man, I'll tell you
what happens to West Virginia, because we are hyping up West Virginia. I'm hyping them up. I think we've got a really good team, and I do not see any game that we cannot win in the Big 12. I really don't. But at the same time, We could have a season like Texas Tech did or TCU did last year.
I'll tell you what, we don't have a chef's kitchen in Morgantown. Okay, we got a full pantry, and we got the key ingredients to make certain things. But if you're looking
Paxton,
for a gourmet meal, yeah, who's the best coach?
Paxton,
Who's the best coach? Yeah,
the best
Paxton will
coach is
answer that.
Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy's the best coach. You want the top 3 coaches? Mike Gundy, Lance Leipold, and Joey McGuire. I think that's your 3 best coaches. Joey McGuire because of recruiting.
Yeah, McGuire at 3, Gundy at 2, Lance at 1 for me. I'm a Lance fanboy.
Yeah, and I'm at Mike Gundy with 1. And simply because Mike Gundy done the same thing Don Nehlen did. You know, he pretty much drew a circle around Oklahoma State and said, we can get some players that can compete out of this circle. And he's done it. He's done it for years.
No, Oklahoma and Texas, they don't give kids binkies. They give them mouth guards.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And pretty much in Florida, they don't teach their kids to run. They teach their kids to run really fast. So, you know.
Yeah. But like I was saying about the pantry, you know, West Virginia has a cook's kitchen, not a chef's kitchen. So we don't have these. We can't just, if we lose these key ingredients, if we lose, you know, a couple key players, it's going to be tough, you know, getting ready for these games. Whereas like a bigger program can just plug and play and substitute, you know. So we
I will
can't
say
do
this
that.
though, Paxton. Next week on the Big 12 show, that's our topic, is ranking the Big 12 coaches. So come on into the Big 12 show. It'll be Monday night. Am I right? Monday night for the Big 12 show.
Big 12 show is going to be Thursday. Monday night is the West Virginia fan show.
Oh, okay.
Last week we had a reverse. Yeah.
I get confused. All right, so come in Thursday night for the Big 12 show. We will rank the top 3 coaches, or not top 3, every coach in the Big 12. And Shane will give you his list, and I'll give you mine.
It's gonna, 7 o'clock this week. We're gonna.
We already had differences on who's number 1 and number 2.
Absolutely.
He says Lance Leipold number 1. I say Mike Gundy number 1. But you know what? It wouldn't be too far off the mark to pick Sonny Dykes. You know, I mean,
he's in there top 5. But I'll tell you this, Joey, if you were weighting it, you know, the criteria based off of length of career, of consistency, Mike Gundy is head and shoulders above Lance. I'm going by right now. Who's the hottest flash in the pan? Who's the, you know, and I think Lance is that guy.
Hey, there's another one, Gus Malzahn, the Gus bus. Gus Malzahn down at UCF.
Gus lost too many games last year that were close to make me. He can coach, he can ball, he can coach. He has players there. He recruited players, and they're competitive. And they just like you know, that fella out in Colorado, he has them believing in UCF that they can win.
Oh, here we go.
Both black and gold.
I'm going to piss Paxton off with this. He says, "Who's the best coach in the new Big 12?" I'm going to tell you, the best coach got fired. His name was Dana Holgorsen. only joking, Paxton.
No.
And Dana Holgorsen was far from the best coach. Probably the worst coach. Yeah, Utah's good.
Yeah.
Arizona.
Gus is a good one too.
You know, now they lost their coach, but yeah. You know, I mean, there are a lot of good coaches in the Big 12. Hey, listen,
coach Arizona did.
We can't discredit Neil Brown. He had 3 10-win seasons at Troy, including beating Power 5 programs like LSU. So, you know, I mean, you can't say that Neil Brown's not a good coach. I think he struggled.
Needs to give us 3. We get 3. Yeah, I'll be doing this show in a Borat thong.
Well, this year is going to be year 1 for a 10-win season for West Virginia University under Neil Brown. Mark my word, it's going to happen. We're going to get 10 wins this year. And, hey, maybe the beginning of a beautiful thing. Maybe we can have 3 10-win seasons in a row under Neil Brown and become a top 15 program again in college football. that's what we all want. That's what we all expect. That's what we all deserve as Mountaineer fans because we don't have a pro team. We are supporting this university and supporting this team. And this university is not putting the money in to this football program that it should as far as assistant coaches and things like that. The facilities are fantastic. And I agree that we needed to upgrade and do some great things.
Yeah,
And I love that.
upgrade at
But we've
president.
got to
Gordon
be
Gee
able to
needs
keep our
get his
coaches.
Gordon Gee needs to get his bow tie and butt out of town, go retire on some sandy beach on Lake Erie.
Right. Paxton says Aranda will get fired because of a brutal schedule. Aranda, I think he should have been fired
That's
after this last season. I like Dave Aranda. I think he's a fantastic coach. I just don't think he's fitting in at Baylor. I don't think he's
Yeah,
Baylor
that's
material.
not a good fit. That hire was kind of.
Yeah.
I think
Art
he's more of a.
Browse was the perfect fit for Baylor. Now, outside of the scandals, Art Browse was a perfect fit for Baylor. And
Yeah.
where is Art Browse today? Does anybody have any idea?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
And I'm wondering if Art Browse will ever come back into coaching. Because
No.
that's a hell of a coach. About like Joe Paterno, hell of a coach. Just made some screw ups. But I'm just wondering, Art Browse, how about Tom Herman? I think Tom Herman's a great coach out there somewhere that somebody needs to pick up, and everybody's overlooking him.
He's coaching Estra Gulf. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't even know what that is. It's on Wikipedia.
Paxton, I agree. I agree with you. Art should be in prison. Don't take me saying he's a great coach and should be somewhere for anything.
Oh, Mount
other
Vernon
than
High
that.
School. He was coaching in Mount Vernon High School in Texas. So he was a high school coach from 79 until 99, so 20 years. And then he went to Texas Tech as a running back coach. Houston from 03 to 07, and then Baylor from 08 to 15. And then 2019 and 20, he's back in coaching Texas high school ball.
Yeah. Well,
but he was
all right, man. Well, we've been
Yeah.
an hour. We can go on. I don't care if you want to keep going.
Yeah, I let's wrap it up. I have I got kids. One of my kids still has the flu, so we're just it just passed it around. It's like,
It's that
hey,
time of the
everybody's feeling
season.
better for 2 weeks. Oh yeah, but
Yeah, it's that time of the season. Because last week I got out of the hospital with pneumonia,
mhm.
and my problem is when I talk for a while, I start
Yeah.
losing my voice, and then I start yelling, and then everybody thinks I'm being hateful or mean or something, and it's not that I'm hateful or mean. I'm just yelling because I have to yell for you to hear me. Listen, everybody that came in tonight: Paxton, Timothy, Wet Blanket, Casey Press, Silas. Let's see, Jackson Johnson, TF, Traveling Fools. Thank you all for coming in tonight. We appreciate you. We love you. We will be back with you come Monday night for the Big 12 show. And then Thursday night, we will come back for the Mountaineer Fan Zone. Friday night, I'll be back with you again next week. So we appreciate all of you. And do not forget that Tuesday nights is a good friend of mine, somebody that you will love, Clint Foster. Look up Clint Foster Comedy on YouTube. Go over and watch his videos. And I promise you'll start watching Clint Foster on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock right here on the Voice of College Football, Big 12 at the Voice of College Football. All right, Shane, anything else, brother?
No, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Everybody have a great night. We love you. We will see you next time.